Good evening, vinyl community, everybody everywhere, YouTube, etc., etc. Anybody else stumbling across this video will hopefully enjoy what I'm going to show, or not, as the case may be. Yeah, so it's Rob back for another video. This is my first vinyl finds video of 2022. So yeah, majority, in fact, all of this is what I've so far found in January. So it's a combination of online purchases and obviously some from Ben. So yeah, usual kind of eclectic mix, as is my want. A little bit of jazz in here. Just give an alert for anybody who doesn't enjoy jazz, because I know there's still probably quite a few of you out there that aren't particularly interested in that genre. So, yeah, I'll get to those in a bit. But yeah, kicking off. So this is an artist that hitherto, until a few days ago, I was not really aware of. I was aware of the artists that he produced and toured and recorded with, but not this guy himself. So, who am I talking about? Okay, well, this is a gentleman by the name of Steve Gunn. Okay, and this is his brand new. Well, I said brand new. It's his latest album, came out last year, called Other You. Okay, so Steve Gunn, he is a guitarist, writer, arranger, producer, who's worked with the great Michael Chapman. Or obviously he did until he sadly passed away last year, and toured and so on. He'd been a great fan of Michael Chapman's for years, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, I mean, you can kind of hear elements of that influence in this record. He's been recording, I think, for quite a number of years, and this is because obviously I'm very unfamiliar with a lot of his work, but from what I heard on YouTube, his earlier work is a bit more frenetic, a bit more upbeat, sort of electric guitar driven, and yeah, sort of, I guess, maybe a sort of indie feel, I guess, for want of a better term. Well, that's not really doing the guy justice, but this is a lovely record, very laid back, quite mellow, sort of blissed out, I guess you could say, sort of awash with electric guitar effects, a lot of reverb, quite spacey, really nice songs. Really enjoyed this. Yeah. This is, so it's actually what I don't think it's a double album, but this has been pressed on double vinyl. So obviously you've got the sleeve there, Steve on the front, track listing on the back. And interesting, some of these graphics actually appear on some of his videos, his recent videos, so it's kind of in keeping with that. Nice inner sleeves, sort of pictures of, I guess, the recording that were taken during the recording process. There's obviously his array of guitars there for those into guitars, Marshall stack. And there's a nice one here with his cute picture of a dog there, and sort of keyboards and so on. Yeah, really nice. Sadly, not put into polyline inner sleeves. So I had to actually clean them all and put them into these kind of MoFi style sleeves to protect the vinyl, because you know what it's like. You pull them out and it's like instant hairline scratches. And in fact, the first disc was actually marked, which is quite annoying. And there's a bit of surface noise and crackle, but it just seems to be it just seems to almost be the norm these days with a lot of modern pressings and recordings. And it's kind of I'm kind of getting to the stage whereby I'm getting pretty fed up with it, really, to be honest, because you're paying 25 quid or whatever for a brand new album. You could pick up the CD for for a third of that, and you wouldn't get any of these issues. Whether or not you'd get that warm sound that we all love from vinyl, probably not. But then you wouldn't have to put up with all the crackle and the surface noise, which there's just no way you should be getting that from a brand new record. So yeah, it is a real bugbear of mine, and I'm not going to stop going on about it because it just pisses me off. But there you go. Okay, so kind of segueing into the next one. This is a wonderful record by Michael Chapman, and this is his 2018 release, True North. So I don't know whether this was actually Michael Chapman's last album before he died. I know it was the one that came after 50, which was his kind of celebrated album from 2017, which kind of had Steve Gunn playing on it as this one does, and he's also producing the record as well. So yeah, this is a re-recording of some of Michael Chapman's earlier, more obscure recordings, none of which I was familiar with at all. And I think there was 4 brand new compositions on this record. So it's kind of quite dark sleeve there. And there's some Michael's parents there on the inner sleeve, and the lyrics. And yeah, this is very much a sort of coming of age album for him, I guess, sort of getting into his late 70s and sort of being quite philosophical about life, and sort of where his journey kind of up to this point. It's quite dark in places, but the lyrics are great, really, really good, and his wonderful sort of guitar playing just works throughout. As I say, there's supported by Steve Gunn playing some lead guitar on it. Also, the wonderful Bridget St. John contributes some vocals as well on a couple of tracks. So really, really good. And yeah, as I say, I'm not sure whether this was his last album or not. I'll have to double check on that. But if this was his swan song, bless him, it's a fantastic way to go out. So excellent stuff. Really highly recommend that. Okay, something completely different now. Ben got this album in last week, and he asked me if I'd heard it, and I hadn't. And but he sent me a picture, and I streamed it, and I really enjoyed it. So this is Frank Sinatra, and this is Watertown. So this was it was recorded in late 1969, released in March 1970. It was a complete flop. I think it was the only Sinatra release up to that period that hadn't charted in the top 100 on the Billboard charts in the US. So yeah, a bit of a bit of a turkey for him in sales terms, I guess. But yeah, this is a kind of concept album, which is it was actually, the song was actually composed by Bob Gaudio and Jake Holmes. So Bob Gaudio, obviously from Four Seasons fame, and yeah, it's a kind of it's a love story, but a kind of forlorn heartbreak kind of story about a guy who basically is lamenting the fact that his wife has left him and taken his two children. Uh, she's gone to the kind of seek out the bright lights of the big city, and it's kind of him coming to terms with his life from there on. I only actually streamed the first side of this record before deciding I was going to buy it. But yeah, I kind of got that kind of loner kind of feel, I guess, that the writing was looking to produce, and Sinatra just puts it over in his usual inimitable way. Wonderful crooning, fantastic richness to his voice. Yeah, and there's a kind of emotional gravitas there as well. And it's great. It's a really good listen. So yeah, and this wasn't expensive. I was half expecting, because it was kind of one of those albums that flopped, that it was going to be quite rare and expensive. So I was very glad when Ben told me that it wasn't. So yeah, picked it up for a really good price. So very, very happy to get that. So that's Frank Sinatra and Watertown. Okay, couple of jazz titles now. This is one that Ben got from a jazz collection that he bought before Christmas. I think it was kind of November time. And this is one that I streamed that I really liked. But at the time I was kind of saving money for Christmas, and didn't want to be kind of spending too much money on records. And what he was asking for, it was quite pricey. So I kind of balked on it. And then when I went to kind of decided I wanted it because I played it again and really wanted to get a copy, he'd sold it. So, but he managed to actually procure me another copy. So this is Andrew Hill and Judgment. So this is a Blue Note recording. I think it was recorded in 1960. I don't actually know. I haven't researched this very well, but I think it's an early 60s recording. Yeah, this is a wonderfully atmospheric jazz album. When I was kind of reviewing the jazz albums that Ben had got in the collection, there was literally so many. I mean, there was hundreds, literally. So I was just flicking through, and this was just one that I stumbled across, that I really, really enjoyed. But unfortunately, it was on this Connoisseur label, which was kind of a 90s reissue. I guess audiophiles out there will know, and jazz enthusiasts will know all about this. I'm completely new to a lot of these audiophile labels, so I wasn't hitherto aware of it. I did look to see if there was a reissued version of it, so that I could purchase it for considerably less than I ended up paying for this, but I couldn't. So, but Ben offered to pick me up a copy, and I thought, well, I'm not going to let it get away a second time. I bit the bullet and we kind of came to a bit of a kind of agreement on the price. So it was kind of the upper reaches of what I was kind of really prepared to pay, but it was kind of fair. I was I was happy with it. So so this is Andrew Hill piano, Bobby Hutcherson on the vibes, Elvin Jones drums, Richard Davis on the bass, and it's just a really, really atmospheric listen. For me, it's like I'm not an expert on jazz. I don't know the history of the players particularly. Obviously, I've been collecting it now for the last couple of years, so I'm sort of starting to get into it and getting familiar with names and so on. For me, the deciding factor isn't the quality of the vinyl. It isn't the quality of the pressing or the or whatever, or the names. It's just the vibe for me. If I stream it, listen to the first 5 or 10 minutes, and it moves me in some way and I enjoy it, then I'm going to want to buy it. And this one definitely did. So definitely worth checking out. If you're interested and not heard this, it's a really, really engaging listen. So that's Andrew Hill and Judgment. Okay, another one, slightly cheaper jazz issue. This is a brand new release that's come out. I'm not going to go into great detail about this because a fair few of you have shown and talked about this already. So this is a brand new release that came out, I think, in December last year. This is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, and this is First Flight to Tokyo. So this is the Lost 1961 recordings. This as I'm not sure whether it's the first jazz band or certainly one of the first jazz ensembles to actually play in Japan. Apparently when they went there, they were kind of treated like, I don't know whether their reputation preceded them, but they were treated like kind of royalty, with roses kind of being thrown at them as they were coming off the plane, and sort of pretty much like the kind of pop stars of the day were enjoying, although this obviously predated the Beatles. So, really, really enjoyed this. Art Blakey, I'm a big converted fan of. I love his Indestructible album. I think that's fantastic, great energy on that. This is a really, really enjoyable live recording. So I'll show it very quickly, the gatefold. Really nice double album set. Comes with a booklet and also some postcards. I'm not going to get the postcards out. I can't get them out anyway, but they're very much like the kind of images of the band that were taken, I guess, from the tour and the concert itself. And comes with I think it's a 15-page booklet, which is great, really informative, tells you all about the tour. I think it's the forwards. I think it's the forwards by Don Was, I think, if I remember correctly. But it's really interesting. Tells you all about the backstory of the players and the artists, how they got together, how they met up with Art to join the band. There's an interview with Wayne Shorter, which is really interesting as well. So yeah, well worth getting. While it's still relatively inexpensive, because I think from my experience with these things, they tend to sort of go up in price and just go through the roof, ridiculous. So, okay, so moving on. I was looking to get some more Johnny Trunk recordings. Really enjoyed quite a few of his releases the last couple of years. This is a compilation record that he's put together to celebrate his 25th anniversary of his label. And this is an album he's put together called Do What You Love. So this is a double compilation album on his own label. Basically just putting together songs and artists from some of his classic reissued recordings that he's put together on his label. But yeah, it's a really, really good listen. There's some great stuff on this. You got the Bartleby opening cue. There's also Delia Derbyshire VCS3 melodies, interesting. Fantastic Tomorrow People theme by Dudley Simpson. So those remembering the original Tomorrow People children's series that came out in the early 70s. Fight by the Musketeers from the Flashing Blade. Yeah, just wonderful. The Millionaire by the Dudley Moore Trio from the film Bedazzled, one of my favourite movies, comedy films. Really, really enjoyable. Great one or two of Johnny's own sort of mashups that he's put together as well on here. Yeah, and a little essay that he's written on the back as well, which is interesting. Yeah, really, really good purchase, and glad to have got that. Okay, sort of still in the library music field, I also picked up this. This is The Sound of Soul and Themes. So this is a kind of KPM style library record of instrumentals put together by Alan Parker. And they're without the vocals, so there's a companion album to this which I would have liked to have got with the soul vocals on as well, but these are just the instrumentals. Recorded in 1976. This isn't great, really, to be honest. It's all right, but it's your average kind of soul, mid-70s kind of, a bit fluffy. Not particularly interesting or engaging, nothing I've kind of not really sort of heard before. I mean, it's all right, but definitely not essential. And yeah, I mean, if you were to pick it up dirt cheap, it might be worth it. But I mean, it wasn't expensive anyway, but there we go. Okay, down to the last two now. This is a bit of nostalgia. This is one from Ben's Cheap Bin. This was Suzanne Vega's first album. Suzanne Vega saw her in concert in 1985. This is her debut album. Canadian singer, singer-songwriter. She's I don't know whether I think she may be still recording. I don't know. I kind of lost touch with her really after the first two or three records. So yeah, this is got the classic My Lena on the Wall, which I remember seeing her perform live on the Tube back in the day. It's a nice listen. She's a decent songwriter, good lyrics. I saw her live at the NEC, like I say, in 1985, and she was all right. But I have to say that the support act, who was Michael Hedges, for me, blew her off the stage. Yeah, nice to pick up for cheap. So yeah. Okay, and the last one is an album that I was really, really glad to pick up, really getting into more kind of traditional folk. This is a reissue from 1985 on C for Miles Records. This is Shirley and Dolly Collins and their 1969 album Anthems in Eden. I say it's 1969. It's actually a song suite, or the first side of it is that was music that was composed um, to represent the kind of changes in rural England after the First World War. So kind of quite heavily themed there. I didn't know that prior to buying the album. I looked that up. But I just enjoy the music basically. So yeah, Shirley Collins, very traditional folk singer, and but also a lot of instrumentation and instruments that were used to record the music and songs on this record that hadn't been used on a popular record for many years. So yeah, and then I believe the album was then re-released in 1976 with new recordings, which make up the side two of this, if I'm not mistaken, which were recorded by her members of her Albion band. So obviously you've got sort of Richard Thompson, Ashley Hutchings, members of Fairport, and so on. And I believe that it was actually called Amaranth, I think. But yeah, it's a really really enjoyable listen, and as I say, I'm getting kind of more into this kind of traditional folk, certainly more than I would have done a couple of years ago. But really, really glad to be exploring this more and more. So that's it, guys. That's me done. Okay. So yeah, a lot of videos going around at the moment. Obviously, a lot of vinyl tags, or the versions of the vinyl tags, seems to be kind of mutating, like the coronavirus, into various other hybrids, let's say. But yeah, all enjoyable to watch, and it keeps it interesting. There's also, I noticed, a couple of competition videos as well, which have been uploaded in the last few days. Certainly one I will be doing hopefully next week, Richard McCook. So yes, I'll be looking forward to doing that. So in the meantime, guys, have a great week. Hope you've all been buying plenty of new interesting music. Always looking forward to new videos being uploaded all the time. And yeah, keep safe, as they say, and speak to you and see you soon. Cheers, all the very best. Take care. Bye bye.